Welcome to the 3CoSports podcast with your three co-hosts, Luke, Alex, and Angel.
Welcome back to the family-friendly, non-explicit podcast that entertains, informs, and helps you win. Alex, how the f*** are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today. Happy to be here with you guys. The weather outside is kind of not great, but the weather inside is pretty good, at least in my room. I know your room's a little bit colder than mine.
My room is really cold. I am shivering, so if you hear teeth chattering like that'll be me. That'll be I.
Dude, one benefit of living in a dorm room is that we actually have a thermostat on the wall I can adjust whenever I want for just my room, which is kind of nice.
Very cool.
But it doesn't work that well. Like, if I want it cold, I have to turn it, like, all the way down to 62, and then it'll get to, like, 68. But if I want it warm, I'll just turn it to, like, a nice 69, and then it'll get to, like, 70. So
nice.
It's kind of hit or miss. It's never really exactly accurate.
Oh, no, that's explicit.
It does. No, it's not. It does either cool or warm, which is nice, but it does not get very accurate, unfortunately.
Must be nice. We're broke college kids living in an apartment with overlords.
You don't think I am?
Ruling. There's three broke college kids trying to make a podcast. That's all we are.
Amen.
Yeah.
We gotta make it work.
We gotta.
Oh, wait, Alex, where's Walter?
Walter's
where is Walter?
He's like over here.
Get him.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
The star of the show. Bring him here.
Bring Walter in. There he is. Walter right next to the mic.
He's
Any
gonna fall
comments
over.
from Walter today?
No, he's chilling. He's just like
He's pretty quiet.
No comment.
he was kind of camera shy today, but I've just pulled him out for you guys. But yeah, he's chilling.
Walter makes everything better.
Walter keeps to himself most of the days.
Yeah,
Walter's
he doesn't
the
have
real star of the show. To be
he
honest.
doesn't have a mouth hole, so like he can't really say much. But he says a lot with his like expressions. I think his actions speak louder than his words.
His
He's
vibe.
censored by the government.
Exactly.
Much like we're censored by Apple. Oh, I can't say that. Oh. But you know what I can tell you guys about? I can tell you about Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight is a DFS website that features fantasy games for sports such as the NFL, NHL, NASCAR, and much more.
You said they had NASCAR?
Not only do they have NASCAR, they also have much more. You can even play DFS for esports. MKF has also partnered with the NFL Players Association in an unprecedented deal that focused on athlete rights. So what are you waiting for? Go on monkeyknifefight.com and use promo code 3CO, that's the number 3CO, to double your initial deposit up to $50. Go make some MKFing money. Damn,
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's get it. That was a good ad read, Angel. I like it.
Thank you. You know, I really think the NASCAR thing really pulled it all together, which completely unscripted, off the dome.
Absolutely.
No show, dog.
Yeah, no. Off the dome. It's a freestyle.
Always a freestyle.
We're going to do that one episode. We're just going to like do like the first half is like news and notes and segments and stuff. And the back half is just going to be a rap battle.
Oh shit.
Oh, bet. An acapella group, a rap battle. We're really...
Yeah.
The musical industry is going to be happy to have us.
We diversify our content around here.
We really do. Any acapella notes today, Luke? Or saving up for another day?
I'll do a bit of a scat towards the end of the show.
Oh, nice. I'm excited for that. Well, I don't think Walter will bless us with a preview of his mixtape today, but one can only hope.
I'll ask.
Yeah, Walter's
Much like the Bears when it comes to Russell Wilson.
Whoa.
Hey, okay. I don't really know where you got that transition from, but I'll take it. So Russell Wilson, there's been a lot of like trade rumors and smoke going on with him in Seattle right now, and he's given a list of a few teams that he'd be interested in going to if he were to be traded. He did not request a trade, but if he were to be traded, he gave a list of a few teams that he's interested in going to, and we'll all kind of pick a team today and give a possible trade package. So for me, I'm picking the Chicago Bears. Ethan, if you're listening, I'm sure this excites you. But PFF actually, or Pro Football Focus, however you refer to them, they put out a possible trade package for Russell Wilson, and I think it's a pretty interesting one. A lot of people think it's too much on the Bears side to give up, but that's what they said about the Eagles trade with the Colts with Carson Wentz, but they got that pretty much dead on. So this trade's a little bit more interesting and kind of changes the way the Chicago Bears would play football, I think, but it gives them Russell Wilson, which is very freaking valuable. So the trade scenario is the Bears receive Russell Wilson, the Seahawks receive Khalil Mack, Jaylen Johnson, 2021 first-round draft pick, and a 2022 first-round draft pick.
Oof.
First off, does anyone know who Jaylen Johnson is?
I know who he is.
Because I do not.
He was pretty good last year. He was a rookie cornerback. He was better than most of their corners. So, yeah, that would be a big...
Okay, so he's a pretty solid corner as well. All right, so it'd be a pretty solid corner. Khalil Mack, who's like a top 10 pass rusher in the NFL. Probably top 5 still, I'd say. And then 2 first-round draft picks. So let's say the Bears do get Wilson. Those picks are not going to be very early. They're probably going to be at least pick 20 or later. So it doesn't make him valuable, like that valuable. But it is a lot to give up because Khalil Mack was traded for like 3 first-round draft picks like 2 years ago. Obviously, he's not worth that much anymore because he's a little older, but he's still probably worth at least a first or 2 on his own these days. So what do you guys think? Who would win that trade? And if you had to give a letter grade to both teams, what would you pick?
For that trade, the Bears defense has definitely taken a couple steps back since they were like the best defense in the league a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
And I think it would kick them even further down the ladder if they got rid of Johnson, who was, I would say he was arguably their best corner. I think, they still have one of those Fullers there, right?
I believe so.
Is it Kyle Fuller?
I think it's Kendall.
They have one of them.
It's one of the Fullers.
But yeah, outside of the Fuller that they have, I think Johnson was their best corner. And Mack is obviously probably their best player overall. So it would be a big hit on defense, and they'd have to scramble kind of to make that up. But I do think the upside of the team with Russell Wilson would be worth like sacrificing all of that. I think it's a very interesting trade, honestly. What do you think, Angel?
I think that's a really big win for the Bears. Much like Luke mentioned, those picks would not be that valuable with Russell Wilson in town. And as much as I love defense, I feel like offense is what gets you to the Super Bowl nowadays. And Russell Wilson with Allen Robinson, just in terms of seeing Allen Robinson this is not about winners or losers, but seeing Allen Robinson with a good quarterback, I would love that.
Yeah, we all want to see that. And definitely, like you mentioned, I think Allen Robinson would absolutely want to stay if he Russell Wilson.
Right? Sure.
So that would definitely help the Bears going forward as well, because that would help them from losing a possible big free agent and going out of town to another team. So I think both sides, on paper, I feel like as far as pure value goes, the Seahawks would win that deal. But as far as actually like winning championships and winning games in the NFL, I feel like the Bears win that trade. Because I feel like if Russell Wilson leaves the Seahawks, that team will need to completely rebuild. Maybe not completely, but they will need to retool and get another quarterback, which is very hard in the NFL. So I feel like the Bears would probably win the deal, but giving up that much capital would definitely hurt them a little bit. I don't know if they would necessarily be like the best team in the league or anything, but they would probably absolutely be a contender with Russell Wilson on their team. So
I feel like it would be a pretty even trade. I'd give an A- to the Bears and a B+ for the Seahawks, because you never want to lose your star quarterback. That you never want to be the team that's trading away the star QB. But in terms of packages that they could get back, it's definitely better than what like the Raiders could offer, for example.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Absolutely. All right, who wants to go next with their team?
I can talk a little bit about the Raiders.
Yeah, let's hear about the Raiders, Angel.
Well, the Raiders are a really interesting pick because they don't have that much draft capital. What I mean by that is they have their own picks, their own first-round pick, and really not that much more when it comes to draft capital, but they do have some interesting players. One of them is Clelin Ferrell, our good friend Clelin Ferrell, who was the number 4 overall pick for the Las Vegas Raiders. I still can't get over that.
Yeah, that was a reach.
That was wild. I remember watching that happen, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. But Clelin Ferrell, Derek Carr, and 2 first-round picks for Russell Wilson. How would you guys feel about that trade? I feel like it's a little similar to the Bears trade, with the exception that they're getting Derek Carr back instead of a young rookie cornerback.
What was the package again?
Clelin Ferrell, Derek Carr, and 2 first-round picks for Russell Wilson.
I actually think that's a pretty decent trade for Seattle. Derek Carr is a pretty underrated NFL quarterback in my opinion. Yeah. 2 first-round picks, and then Farrell is a pretty solid guy. He's not like the number 4 pick overall guy that everyone thought he was going to be. Well, not everyone. No one thought he was that good. The Raiders did. And I think everyone had him at around like pick number 15 to 20 in most mocks, somewhere around there. So he was definitely a bit of a reach, but he's a first round talent guy. I mean, he's been pretty solid in the NFL so far. He hasn't been great. He hasn't really been making headlines, but he's a solid guy. So you give him somebody else to play edge, which they need, and then they would get 2 first-round draft picks and Derek Carr. And Derek Carr is more than capable of running the offense that Pete Carroll wants without complaining like Russell Wilson is right now and getting upset about it. And if that's what they want to do, then Derek Carr will probably do that job well for them. Obviously, it takes a hit for them overall for their team, but that 2 first-round draft picks and Derek Carr keeps them afloat and being able to win games while not necessarily having to tear the entire thing down, which I think is a bit of a win-win. But obviously, I think the Raiders would benefit a lot from that. But I don't know. I feel like the Raiders are an interesting spot because even if you put Russell Wilson on that team tomorrow with no departures, I feel like they're not good enough to win the Super Bowl because they don't have enough defense. So,
I would agree with that completely.
It's an interesting spot.
Yeah, this trade is, it's interesting to me because I think Carr, like Luke said, I think Carr gets a lot of flack. That's some of it is deserved, but other stuff people say about him is kind of just they just want to drag him through the mud. I think he's a fine quarterback. I think you could win with him if you have a good team around him. And the Raiders definitely haven't done a good job of building a receiving core, first of all, and a defense, most importantly, probably. So yeah, like I like the trade in theory. It really would depend on what the Seahawks did with the picks that they got. And I think Farrell is a good throw-in because he's a high upside player, and I think he's a good fit for what the Seahawks do on defense too. They've always liked taking risks on guys who are maybe sort of busts. Marshawn Lynch, when they got him, was not exactly a trending stock, and they were able to work with that, win a Super Bowl, go to another Super Bowl. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good deal overall. And speaking of Clelin Ferrell, I've got a trade for the Saints for Russell Wilson that involves another disappointing former first-round pick edge rusher. So yeah, my proposal for the Saints is 3 first-round picks. Whew. Because, the Saints.
Well, they don't really have a lot to give besides that, so.
Yeah. So they're going to be giving 3 first-round picks, and I considered throwing our boy Taysom Hill in here, but first of all, I don't think the Seahawks would want Taysom Hill in this trade. And second of all, I feel like the Saints wouldn't want to trade Taysom Hill. I feel like they'd be like, nah, we're going to use that guy. Mm-hmm. We're not trading him.
Yeah, they're not getting rid of Taysom Hill for anything, dude. Seriously.
Yeah.
Even if it's another quarterback that can scramble, they'll just say, no, we want Taysom.
They need both.
Honestly.
They got to run those weird packages where he's like a tight end, and then he's a quarterback, and then he's a running back, and then he's a receiver, and then he's blocking, and then he's on defense. They got to.
They need to do it all.
So yeah, instead of Taysom Hill in this deal, I have Seattle getting Marcus Davenport, who the Saints traded 2 first-round picks in 2018, I think, to move up and get him, and he hasn't quite been the elite pass rusher that people thought he was going to be, but he's been good, and I think he's the exact kind of player like Clelin Ferrell, who Seattle would like to take a chance on and would probably be like, okay, we can work with this guy. So 3 first-round picks, Marcus Davenport, and just a 2021 third, and the Saints have an extra 2021 third and an extra 2022 third because one of their front office guys, Terry Fontenot, was hired by the Falcons. And as part of the initiative by the NFL to get more African-American coaches and GMs hired, they're giving away those third-round picks. So the Saints got 2 of those for that. And I think they'd part with 1 in this deal because, whatever it takes to get Russell Wilson. And so, yeah, I'd like to hear what you guys think about this one.
Dude, if the Saints can figure out their cap nightmare and somehow manage to get Russell Wilson without selling the farm, I think it's absolutely worth it because the Saints are built to win. They just need a quarterback, and Drew Brees hopefully retiring. I say hopefully, no shade to Drew Brees, but I think it sets their team back, kind of like the Steelers, but not as bad for the Steelers. I think if the Saints get Drew Brees back again next year, I think it could be pretty terrible for their outlook long term, in my opinion, because I mean, for, like, to compare the Steelers, to try to be as non-biased as possible as a Steelers fan, I don't think Ben is completely washed. Like, I feel like he's like a little washed, but like he can still get the job done if everything is like clicking. I mean, they were 11-0 last year, like we saw that until the wheels fell off towards the back half of the season. But like towards the playoffs, like dude, Drew Brees looked horrible in that playoff game. Granted, he did get like all of his ribs cracked and a collapsed lung, which obviously will affect you a little bit, but he just did not look good. Like, he could barely throw the ball down the field. And, like, you're not going to win the Super Bowl with a quarterback like that at the helm. Like, you're going to need somebody else. And I think that them moving on a year earlier would really benefit them long term.
For sure. Yeah, Drew Brees reminded me of, like, when Greg Maddux was, like, 42 years old and he was on the Padres in, like, the late 2000s. And he was, like, their best pitcher. And I was like, Greg Maddux is great. And he's had a great career, but you guys got to get a better guy than this guy to anchor this rotation.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's my MLB reference of the day. Angel, you can.
Thank you, Alex. Very baseball.
Look at us incorporating other sports in already. As for the trade package, I only like it for the Saints. As in, I would be shocked if the Seahawks accepted that trade, because, like Luke mentioned, all the Saints need is a quarterback. They're good enough just in terms of team talent to win the Super Bowl. Drew Brees was washed up after week 10, And after he came back from that injury, you could tell he was laboring. His arm strength hasn't been there for a couple of seasons now. The defense is good already, good enough to win a Super Bowl. And adding Russell Wilson with Michael Thomas, I think that would be a high 30th overall pick if you're the Seahawks receiving that trade. So I would hate it for the Seahawks. I think they could get a much better package for him from a team that is less suited to win now. But who knows, man? 3 first-round picks is a lot of draft capital. I would give an A for the Saints if they were to pull that off, and a B- for the Seahawks if they were to accept that package from that particular team.
I definitely agree with that. All right. Well, there we go. That's our Russell Wilson analysis for the day. So now to move on to the back half of the show, we have a lot of analysis to get into because the 2020 receiver class was absolutely loaded, as we all know. So today we're going to be talking all 2020 wide receivers from the NFC, and then on Thursday's episode we will be doing the AFC wide receivers because there's just so many to cover. So, gentlemen, let's get things started with Justin Jefferson, the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Wait, no, he wasn't. That was Justin Herbert. Sorry, he should have been Offensive Rookie of the Year, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he should have been. Justin Herbert was a stud, but I mean, Justin Jefferson set literally the all-time record for rookie receiving yards, which is a little harder than the quarterback record, in my opinion, because that's just the way the modern NFL is going. But anyway, Justin Jefferson is an absolute stud. We all saw him ball out this season in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins at the helm. Dude, I think just like to kind of go quick with Justin Jefferson. I mean, he is an absolute beast. I think it's possible that he doesn't do as well next year than he did this year just because he performed so well. But, I mean, I feel like he'll be a wide receiver 1 for the next, 10 years. Like, he's so good. I mean, if as long as he has a competent quarterback at the helm. I mean, Kirk Cousins isn't, that good as a real-life quarterback. I mean, he's pretty good. But he's not, amazing. So, I mean, there's better days to come for him, hopefully. He's fantastic. He's my dynasty wide receiver 4 right now, and he could rise even more if he continues to ball out at the level he is next season. So what do you guys think?
So there's a couple of stats that I want to point out, and I'm going to do this for all the players using the stats from Player Profiler. We've talked about them before, but they're a great tool for anyone that's looking to really start digging deeper into their favorite players. So I want to say a couple of them. First off, his snap share was only 86.4, which tells me that there's room for him to play even more next year. That ranked 28th among wide receivers. And this is the crazy part. His air yards were 1,490, which is 93.1 per game. And his receiving yards were 1,400. So there was a 90-yard difference between his air yards and his receiving yards. And he made most of that up with his yards after the catch, which were 450. So not only was he just getting deep targets, 22 deep targets last season, which ranked 12th in the league, but even when he wasn't, he was making it work with his yards after the catch ability. And in terms of fantasy football points per game, He had 16.9, which ranked 10th in the league. This guy was a stud.
Yeah.
He was a straight up. He should have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. What he did was more impressive than what Justin Herbert did, despite both of them being very, very impressive. And his efficiency was off the roof as well. His yards per target were 11.2. His yards per reception were 15.9. I mean, any way you look at it, any way you try to dig deeper into the analysis, he just keeps looking better and better every time. Alex, how do you feel about him? I mean, I'm completely sold on him.
Yeah, coming into the season, I really liked Justin Jefferson. I felt like he was the most NFL ready, or maybe not the most NFL ready, but he was in the, like, him, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb. Those are the three guys who I was like, these guys are going to be good from the get-go. But he impressed me because coming into the season, I saw him as more of just like a slot receiver. Like, he reminded me a lot of like kind of Mike. He reminded me of Mike Thomas, but just like in not like the complete Mike Thomas way, but how we saw from Mike Thomas in his first couple of years. I thought he was going to come in, work in the slot, do pretty well, but the Vikings split him out wide and used him on the boundary a lot, and he performed super well there. He's very sure-handed. He can make plays at every level of the field. He's not like the most athletic receiver you're ever going to see, but he really just uses his tools to perfection, I'd say.
He's just such a sharp route runner. He's so good.
He's super decisive, and he's just like, he's not intimidated either, which is a huge quality that I like in him. He goes out and he's like, I can burn this dude who's covering me. I don't care if it's Richard Sherman. Like, I don't care if it's Jaylen Johnson. I don't care if it's Buster Screen. You know, he doesn't care. And he only had a 1.6 drop rate too, which is crazy efficient. Like, his hands are really good, and he is very trustworthy, and that to me really stands out. I think he's going to be a great long-term dynasty asset.
A 1.6% drop rate on like 125 targets is kind of insane.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 125 targets exactly. That's wild. So he's sure-handed, decisive, a great route runner. I mean, that's the skill set for a dynasty wide receiver one eventually.
Absolutely. And sure. I gave him a grade for his season, and do you want to know what it is?
I want to know what it is.
A+.
Yeah, it's an A+.
Gotta be an A+.
It was the best season I've seen from a rookie receiver in a while.
I got you beat on that one. I gave him an A++.
Oh, okay.
I'll give him an S.
Yeah.
Damn. All right.
Well, moving on to our next guy, we have Mr. CeeDee Lamb, who, in my opinion, might even finish better in fantasy than Justin Jefferson next year. It's possible. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's definitely possible. If him and Dak play a full 16 together, dude, he's gonna be so good. I actually tweeted about CeeDee Lamb about a week ago, saying it might sound crazy, but buy low on CeeDee Lamb right now because he's gonna be just as much, if not more, than Justin Jefferson by the time next season ends. And I think his value is only going to go up. Some people were like, okay, but no one's selling him for cheap. I'm like, yeah, I know. I kind of view it like buying Bitcoin. Like, buy it now because in like a month, it's going to be worth even more than it is right now. So just buy it low while you can because it's only going to go up. And it's not necessarily buying low. Just like buy in now because the rocket ship's going to keep going whether you're on it or not. So you might as well get on it.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah, he's a really
economist.
interesting case.
Yeah, I'm such an economist. You know me, Alex. I have such a diverse investing portfolio. I have like $20 in Dogecoin.
Economist. You love to see it. But I think it's really interesting that I think we can all agree that CeeDee Lamb eventually is going to be a great outside receiving threat, right? Like,
for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got all the tools. Yet somehow, I mean, not somehow, we all know why, but he had 621 slot snaps last year, which ranked second in the entire league. Obviously, they have Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper out wide right now, so they figured CeeDee Lamb could eat in the slot, and obviously he didn't, largely because of quarterback play. But his stats really weren't that impressive either, especially his efficiency stats. His yards per reception were 12.6, his yards per target were 8.6, and his yards per route run was 1.82. So he just wasn't getting it done. Now, whether it's because of quarterback play, I would argue so. But because of that, I feel like it's very difficult to say that eventually he will overtake CeeDee Lamb. Because Kirk Cousins is not an all-star quarterback. You know, he's not an all-pro quarterback or anything special. He's a good, solid NFL quarterback, top 15. But Justin Jefferson did it with him. Without Dak Prescott, I feel like CeeDee Lamb is a worse wide receiver. But eventually, like you said, because of Dak Prescott, he might just end up finishing with more points. So it's a really interesting case. How do you feel about him, Alex?
Yeah, I think you put it well. He's probably the most. His upside is probably the highest of any receiver from this group, just because
I agree.
he reminds me so much of DeAndre Hopkins. Like
Same.
It's crazy, honestly. And I really do want to see him out wide, and I want to see him as like a cemented wide receiver too. Like I really want them to move on from one of Cooper, Gallup, just to see what Lamb can do, because I think he could be like a very, very special player. His situation right now reminds me a lot of like Davonte Adams in 2014 and 2015, where he was kind of behind Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson, just kind of trying to like carve out his role. And it wasn't super smooth sailing at first, but once he got that like extended play as the wide receiver one, there was no stopping him. And I think the same trajectory could happen with Adams. And for Lamb's rookie season, I gave him a B+ as a grade because he was really good and he did the most with his opportunities given the situation. The quarterback stuff was unfortunate. Like without Prescott, it was very different because Dalton really liked Michael Gallup. He loved Michael Gallup so much.
Dude, Andy Dalton's so bad. He's so
Luke,
bad.
thank you for making that sound effect. Now I don't have to edit it in.
No problem.
I appreciate you.
got
But in terms of grades, I actually gave him a B-. One thing that I
Really?
do want to
That's
note.
pretty low.
Yeah, I do want to note that those efficiency stats that I shared, and this is why you always have to dig deeper into the stats and just looking at them. Those were because of quarterback play. But I gave him a B- because I really feel like this is the worst he'll ever do, period. Both as a player and in terms of situation. I feel like this is his bottom. So a B- for your bottom year is not bad at all. It's more about how highly I think of him rather than just an indictment on him. So that's why I gave him the B-. I think he'll be at an A level next year. What about you, Luke? What grade would you give him?
I gave him a A- because I feel like we saw how good he is given his situation. I mean, like, what more could he do? I mean, he was out there running his routes, doing what he could with his opportunity, and he looked fantastic. I mean, for a rookie wide receiver, I think you're not expecting extreme statistics and performance like Justin Jefferson. I think what you're really looking for is flashes of the potential. And I think CeeDee Lamb more than flashes potential. I think we saw how good he truly is. And in 3 years from now, I think he's going to be like a dominant one in the league. So I think I saw enough. I think I gave him an A- just because, I mean, he didn't set the world on fire for fantasy, but he was really, really good. So I'm definitely in on CeeDee Lamb for sure next season.
Are you in
All
on
right,
Brandon
on to
Ayuk?
on to our next guy, Brandon Ayuk. I absolutely love Brandon Ayuk as well. I think he's an awesome wide receiver, and I think he can have a great opportunity next year in San Francisco. I think the only question really moving forward for him is how his fantasy outlook looks with a full year of George Kittle there with Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. I don't want to predict injuries for players, but Debo Samuel is very injury prone, so I'm not too concerned about Debo taking a lot of his work. I think he will get like his fair share, but I think it'll be interesting to see what his target share looks like with Kittle, because we all know Kittle gets a lot of targets and work. But Ayuk looked great. I think he did a pretty good job for his rookie year, given his whole situation. Once again, the quarterback play was not the best there. He had some Jimmy Garoppolo, had some C.J. Beathard, had some Nick Mullins. But he still looked pretty good overall. I mean, at the back half of the season, he had some really nice fantasy games. He was pretty consistent. Overall, I'd give his fantasy year an A- as well, because I feel like we saw some more production from him. I liked what I saw.
Now, I will just right off the bat, I feel like I'm going to have a biased take because I literally just traded him away to Luke in one of our leagues. But I'm still actually really high on Brandon Ayuk. I want to talk a little bit about some of his workout metrics. His 40-yard dash, nothing special, but not bad at all. 4.5, and that ranked in the 67th percentile. So that's not really what I'm looking at. What I'm really looking at is his burst score, which pretty much measures the explosiveness of a player. It ranked at 132 points. And for those of you that may not know, 130 and over is what they rank as absolutely exceptional for a player in that position. So his burst, his explosiveness is really, really high, which tells me that eventually, despite how good he was this year in terms of yards after the catch, he had 309, he can be even better. So I'm actually really, really in on Brandon Ayuk. I think what he provided to the 49ers as a wide receiver one for a lot of the season was really impressive. And in terms of grade, I gave him a B+. But I'm really high on Brandon Ayuk. I'm really mad I traded him, but it had to be done for the team. Alex, how do you feel about him?
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk was one of my favorite receivers heading into last season. I really, really loved what I saw from him at Arizona State. He reminded me a lot of Chris Godwin. He's not like a super huge receiver. He's about 5'11" or 6 feet, 205 pounds roughly, I'd say. But he's an incredible athlete. He's really good on like contested plays too for a guy who's not huge. Like he just goes up and makes big catches, and he's super physical, very fast, very, very good burst, as Angel talked about. I really liked what I saw from him
too.
Yeah, he's a great route runner. I think he got kind of disrespected, honestly, last season. I feel like a lot of people were like, they shouldn't have picked that guy in the first round. And it's like, actually, he's one of the guys who definitely belonged there.
I definitely agree. Alex, I don't want to jump in too much real quick, but I was in I left this league because it was just too much. But I started a fantasy league called The League last year, and it was 32 teams, and it was like NFL team themed. And I had the 21st pick in the draft, and there was IDP as well. But not too many players were picked before I got to my pick. And I got Ayuk with pick 21 in the rookie draft, which I thought was an absolute steal. I was like, why is everyone sleeping on this guy? Like he was a first-round draft pick. I don't really understand it. But anyway.
Yeah, you know what's actually crazy? I am in a 32-team league as well, and I had pick 21, and I took Brandon Ayuk. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's
the
funny.
Matrix is real, confirmed.
That's funny. But yeah, I don't understand why he slid like that. It was so weird. I was like, why does everyone hate this guy so much? They needed another wide receiver, and he was a first-round draft pick. Like, that's very high draft capital. And, like, he's talented. It did not make sense to me, but everyone was fading him.
It was, I think, the Debo Samuel love was at an all-time high, is the only thing I could attribute that to. And what I like about Ayuk compared to Samuel is he's, like, a much more polished receiver. I feel like he can do, like, receiver things better than Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel is a great weapon, and he's really talented, and I like how they use him. But Brandon Ayuk is just more of a complete receiver, and I think that's why. I mean, Debo was really banged up for most of the year, so I can't really say that Ayuk was better than him for that reason. But I feel like what I saw from Ayuk made me think his long-term potential is far better than Debo's. And yeah, I gave him an A- for his season because Jimmy Garoppolo was like super. Like just not around for most of the year. George Kittle was banged up too, so that was kind of putting a lot of pressure on Ayuk, especially when Samuel was not in the lineup. Like there were weeks where it was just Ayuk out there with like Jeff Wilson at running back and Nick Mullins at quarterback and Ross Willie. Yeah, and he played well. So I mean, like I think I was more impressed with him than I was with CeeDee Lamb, honestly.
Whoa.
Well, I think that's fair. No, I think that's fair, Angel, because I feel like we didn't really expect that much out of a Brandon Ayuk as the community, but everyone had CeeDee Lamb as like wide receiver 1 or 2 coming in, and everyone thought he was going to be a dominant X receiver in the league, and we did see some flashes of that. But Brandon Ayuk really played very well, and I think a lot of people are higher on him now than they were after the rookie draft season. So I definitely think that's a fair piece of analysis there.
I mean, it's wild that Brandon Ayuk got drafted after Jaylen Rhaegar.
Whoa, nice transition.
Yeah, I'm speaking on the Jaylen Rhaegar there, but this is where things start to get a little bit murky. I'll start with my letter grade and go from there. I'll give Jaylen Rhaegar a C for his rookie season. I was not very impressed with what I saw from Jaylen Rhaegar. He was a first-round rookie draft pick who was drafted over guys like Justin Jefferson in rookie drafts, if I believe. And some. I think Justin Jefferson was around like the 111, 112, and Rhaegar was around like the 108 in Superflex rookie drafts. And, dude, I mean, if you took Justin Jefferson behind Jaylen Rhaegar, I bet you are sick right now. Because Jaylen Rhaegar did not show very much. I mean, he was hurt every once in a while this season. He missed some time. The quarterback play in Philadelphia was not the best. And he didn't have a lot of help as far as getting good coverage taken away from him. But man, I did not see a lot from Rhaegar this year. I'm very wishy-washy in how I feel about Rhaegar's outlook, because I feel like if they draft a weapon at number 6 overall, like Davonte Smith or Jamar Chase, depending on who's there, and pair him with Rhaegar, he could be very good next year, because he's more of a complementary wide receiver than a true one, in my opinion. But dude, I don't know. I didn't see it. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he turned out to be a bust, but I'm not out yet. It's definitely concerning, but I don't hate it. I think the potential is there still, but yeah, I think a C grade is where I have him.
Do you see anything redeeming about him? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, he's very talented. He has great bursts. He's pretty physical for his size, and I feel like he can rip off big plays, which are great for fantasy football. I just don't think that he's a true wide receiver 1, and he needs more help to get the job done than just being the guy.
I mean, pretty much the logic of the Eagles when they drafted him was like, oh my God, a fast guy. Let's put a fast guy with our other fast guy, Deshaun Watson, a wide receiver.
I'd love to see Deshaun Watson as a receiver. He'd probably be a baller.
I'd be here for it.
Yeah, he'd honestly be pretty good. But yeah, what we were saying, Angel, as like, I remember there's a video. Obviously. There's literally a video clip of the Vikings laughing at the Eagles for taking Rhaegar before.
Is there really?
Justin Jefferson. Yeah, they're literally like laughing in the draft room. Like, they took Rhaegar and they're like, "Ha ha! Put in the pick for Jefferson." Like, I mean, actually is on video.
It's absolutely wild. I mean, they were like, "Oh, 2 fast guys for our quarterback. How can that possibly go wrong?" A really great quarterback. Ironically, the argument for the Rhaegar people was, "Oh, he had a bad quarterback in college." So that turned out well. But it's funny that you mentioned his burst, because I do think that's his one redeeming quality. I don't think his speed is anything. I mean, it's a 4.47 40, which is really good, don't get me wrong. But there were other players in this class with a better 40-yard dash.
He has more in-game speed. He looks really fast on film.
Yeah, he does. And I would say a lot of that is because of that burst score, which you mentioned. Which I mentioned it for Brandon Ayuk, but Jaylen Rhaegar was actually 140.4, which ranks in the 98th percentile. So this man is explosive. He absolutely is. It's just about putting him in the right situation to succeed. That being said, we don't know if he'll ever be in that situation. He is with the Eagles after all. So I have to give him a D+ for the season, because he did have an opportunity to establish himself as an alpha wide receiver. And that's what he was drafted to be. Whether that's fair or not, we can debate that. But what we can't debate is that he was unspectacular and failed to live up to any sort of expectations. And he wasn't even average. He was just bad. So I feel like a D+ grade compensates for all of that. But I still have hope for him. I think, like you mentioned, Luke, if they were to add a weapon like Jamar Chase and allow him to be a complementary wide receiver too, I do think that he would be in a much better position.
Yeah, I actually really want the Eagles to draft Davonte Smith. I feel like that's a great fit there. Him and Smith, I feel like, would be a really nice combination.
I would definitely. Jalen Hurts would make that work.
Jalen Hurts will make anything work.
Oh gosh.
Jalen Hurts is turning into my new Antonio Gibson. I'm all in. I'm all in on him. I don't care. Jalen, I love you. I'll buy a T-shirt for Jalen Hurts. I really need to do that. I want to get an Antonio Gibson signed thing, and then if the Eagles don't draft a quarterback at number 6, I will get a Jalen Hurts signed thing. Yeah, I think it's going to be great next year for the Eagles if they draft another wide receiver for that offense for fantasy football purposes. I don't think they're going to win more than 8 games next year, probably. But for fantasy, man, that team's going to be rolling. It's going to be great.
It's going to be a really interesting time.
Alex, how you feeling about Rhaegar?
Yeah, you guys are putting good points in and just leaving me to summarize at the end, but I appreciate it. You're really setting me up for success.
well, last episode you kind of carried with the rookie talk, so
yeah, it's only fair.
It's our turn.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked your point about people feeling foolish for taking Rhaegar before Jefferson, because imagine how the Eagles felt the whole time, from the time that Jefferson and Rhaegar declared for the draft to the day of the draft. I was like, the Eagles have to take Justin Jefferson. That's what they need. They need a guy who can catch the ball. They need a guy who's a good receiver. That's what they need.
There was so many mocks with Jefferson to the Eagles. It was the perfect fit of the draft. Every mock had Jefferson to the Eagles. And They were like, nope, Rhaegar.
Yeah, they got way too cute with it. I think they fell in love with this guy's Tyreek Hill. He played in the Big 12. He's fast. He's small. His quarterback sucked. He's Tyreek Hill. And, I like Angel. I liked your point also where a lot of people gave Rhaegar's production excuses because they were like, oh, his quarterback was terrible. He's the worst quarterback in the Big 12 and one of the worst quarterbacks in all of college football. And it's like, okay, that's fair. But since when are we drafting guys on the merit of how bad their quarterback is? Like,
Right.
great athlete, great film, but like there was a lot more accomplished receivers. And yeah.
I mean, even the receivers that weren't as accomplished as him ended up being better. Players like Darnell Mooney. So how do you feel about Darnell Mooney?
Dude, you're killing these transitions right now. But yeah, Darnell Mooney, for his opportunity and what we were expecting of Darnell Mooney, I'll give him a B. Not a B plus, a solid. I'll give him a solid B because I feel like Darnell Mooney, I mean, he was on some people's radars, I guess, as more of a late round flyer guy coming out as a prospect. He landed in Chicago, which is not the best place to land as far as the quarterback play and the wide receiver opportunity with Allen Robinson there. But, I mean, he showed great flashes. I mean, if you go back and watch some Darnell Mooney highlights, some of his highlights are plays where he was overthrown. Seriously, like, he burns people downfield, and he's wide open. Too bad Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky just, like, can't hit him for some reason. But he looks... Yeah, they aren't good. He looks great, though. Seriously, like, he showed great flashes. I only gave him a B just because I feel like we didn't see him really come through on a lot of those plays where he showed flashes, but the flashes are real, and they're there. So, for example, if Russell Wilson goes to Chicago, Darnell Mooney's stock is up huge. I definitely like Darnell Mooney going forward as more of a sleeper guy. I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens with quarterback in Chicago, but Darnell Mooney's definitely an interesting player going forward.
All I really want to say about Darnell Mooney is he had a 4.38 40-yard dash, and he had 739 unrealized air yards, meaning that those overthrows that you were talking about pretty much equated to 739 yards. The guy's good. The guy's a burner. He's what...
That's so many yards.
It's insane. It's pretty much what the Eagles thought they were getting with Rhaegar. But, it just so happened that the Bears found him in the 5th round. I hope that the Bears get a better quarterback because I really do think Mooney can be a star. In terms of season grade, I gave him a B as well because I do think that it was an overachieving season, but he can do better.
Right. Yeah. I think you put it well. And going back to those air yards with Darnell Mooney, he had more air yards than Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, and A.J. Brown. So this guy they were getting this man involved in the game plan. They really did want to open it up for him, and it just really wasn't working because of the quarterback play. But that bodes well for year 2 if they can get a guy who, can hit him. He'll be pretty good. He reminds me a lot of Terry McLaurin, except I think Terry McLaurin was able to catch more of the passes thrown to him as a rookie, so he looked a lot better. But I think their skill sets are pretty similar, and I think if Allen Robinson leaves Chicago, Darnell Mooney in year 2 could be a superstar. He could be incredible. I gave him a B.
Alex, to pose the question for Darnell Mooney, if A-Rob leaves and it's just Darnell Mooney and a bunch of dudes, do you think he'll succeed? Because I feel like it could be a bit of a Jaylen Rhaegar problem where he might not be good enough to succeed off the elite cornerbacks.
I think he's capable of being a pretty good wide receiver 1 because don't forget, Anthony Miller's there, and Anthony Miller is disappointing, but Anthony Miller is still a pretty good professional receiver. His fantasy production has always been pretty lackluster, but he's good. They're gonna have to pay attention to Anthony Miller, and you never know. They could draft a guy, sign a guy. Maybe Marvin Jones goes there and takes some pressure off of him.
No,
I feel like
Mooney
he could get a ring with the Bears. What are you talking about? They're gonna get Russell Wilson. Come on.
Yeah, they are. So we're good.
He'll be getting his ring. Don't worry. But yeah, I like Darnell Mooney.
Alrighty.
He's pretty good. You ready?
Alex, I feel like because Luke and I are taking up so much stage, why don't you tell us a little bit about Van Jefferson?
Okay. I mean,
switch it up a little bit.
I appreciate the switch up. I honestly, though, I don't have that much to say about Van Jefferson. Here's what I have to say about Van Jefferson. You picked a weird guy to pull on me.
Great switch up.
Plot twist.
Here are my thoughts on Mr. Van Jefferson. I was disappointed that he didn't take that wide receiver 3 role from Josh Reynolds, who's just been like around forever somehow. Like every year, it's like, oh look, Josh Reynolds he's there. I think I also, just to talk about Josh Reynolds a little bit more, I think of him as like the guy who I go to sleep where I'm like, oh, Jared Goff threw a touchdown, and it's like, oh, who caught it? Oh, it's Josh Reynolds. Like every time somehow it's just like sadness to see Josh Reynolds catch a touchdown. And yeah, he really, like, Van Jefferson couldn't beat that guy out, despite being like 24 years old, I think, as a rookie. One of the most NFL ready guys. He's like a good route runner. He's physical. He had a lot of experience, and the fact that he couldn't make an impact immediately really like put me off of him, because I think that was the whole appeal of him, was that he was ready to come in right away, be the third guy for that offense. They just gotten rid of Brandon Cooks. Like, it's like, okay, Van Jefferson could be a pretty nice pickup in Dynasty. And like I see him as a pretty good buy low target going into 2021, because Reynolds is a free agent, Matt Stafford's there. Maybe he'll be good this year. You never know. But he's not a special player by any means, and I think he could just be a nice depth piece and a nice dynasty stash, but nothing really else. I gave him a C for a grade. Like it was a real C season for Mr. Jefferson.
Yeah, that's fair. Angel, do you want to go, or you and me go, or do you want me to go, then you go?
Yes. No, I'm kidding. I'll just go. Alex hit it right on the head. I was really high on Van Jefferson. Yeah, I can smash that. Oh, I gotta edit that out. And my phone fell.
Nice.
Walter fell also.
Nice all around. Oh no, anyone
Walter.
but Walter. Okay, Walter's okay now. I can proceed. He's a really good route runner. Like, coming out of college, he was one of the best route runners in that class, I felt like. And he just disappointed. He didn't take over that job from Reynolds. And I really thought that he would see a lot more time in the slot. He actually ended up only having 42 snaps in the slot for the entire season, which ranked 141st among wide receivers, despite his team averaging 38.4 pass plays per game. So there's not much to say about Van Jefferson. He's good at route running, but it doesn't seem like, even with Reynolds being gone, he'll ever amount to anything more than a wide receiver 4, in my opinion. How would you feel about that, Luke?
Yeah, I kind of like Van Jefferson. I feel like Sean McVay really likes him. When I was watching Hard Knocks this past year, he really liked Van Jefferson. He was always talking very highly of him. Obviously, he didn't really come to fruition very much this season, but like Alex said, I think he's a pretty solid buy low target. You can get him for like a late second or like an early third maybe. And I mean, like, the potential is there for him to be the wide receiver 3 in that offense, and if for some reason one of the wide receivers ahead of him gets injured and he has a pretty big game, like his stock could go up very quickly, very easily. I think Van's a pretty talented guy. He just needs to work harder and get the opportunities, I guess. I think overall I'd give him a C, because I mean, I didn't think we really were expecting that much of him, but he also didn't really deliver anything at all, so I feel very meh about his outlook. Like, I like him, but I'm not in love with it. I'll stash him for sure, though. He's definitely worth a stash.
Yeah, I gave him a C+. A C as well. Nothing special, nothing to write home about. It seems like we're all on the same page where we're not too high on him, right?
Yeah, I don't love him.
Yeah, but I know one player that Alex is really high on.
Yes.
One that he loves.
Yes.
Alex, do you want to talk to us about this player? You know who I'm talking about.
What's
You
his
can say
name?
his name, Angel.
What's his
His
name?
name is Tyler ... Johnson.
Yes.
Why'd you
That's
do
the
that?
guy.
I don't understand what you were going for there, but
Johnson's a storied name in the football landscape. We got Calvin
That's fair.
Johnson, we got Deontay Johnson, now we have Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, and those were the only 2 Johnsons to ever do
Yes.
anything.
They're the only Johnsons in NFL history.
Yeah. Well,
Deontay and Calvin.
but yeah, I'll take lead on the next big Johnson. Oh man, that was
Apple. No,
God.
it's not explicit.
No,
It's fair.
that's not fine. That's just funny because it's sus. I'll take the lead on the next big Johnson, he says.
All right.
Excellent.
Well,
Continue, Alex.
in keeping with talking about big Johnsons, Tyler Johnson He was one. I think if there was one receiver who I was like completely sold on in this draft, it was Tyler Johnson, because I watched him at Minnesota and I was like, this guy's a baller. This guy is just good at everything. And I was really, really sad when he fell so far in the draft. I think he was like a 5th or 6th round pick to Tampa. Yeah. And I was like, why do you have to go to Tampa? They don't need a receiver. Like, And then they were bringing in Antonio Brown, and I was like, come on.
A moment.
It was a moment. But, for a wide receiver 5 on a team with so many weapons, he had some moments this year. Like, he caught 12 passes for 169 yards.
Nice.
The Big Johnson going for 169. We love that. God.
Jesus.
12 catches, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, despite being behind Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, Scott Miller, Antonio Brown, Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, LaShawn McCoy. Who else?
Was he really behind LaShawn McCoy?
LaShawn McCoy was getting some passing down work. He was out there. He probably had more routes run than Tyler Johnson.
He's won 2 Super Bowls in a row as a healthy scratch, by the way, which I think is hilarious. He's contributed absolutely nothing to the actual game, and he's won 2 rings.
He's a lazy king. We love that. But yeah, I see Tyler Johnson as a great stash. I gave him an A- considering how deep down the depth chart he was.
Wow.
While still being pretty, there were some weeks where you could have started Tyler Johnson and gotten some good results. And they were there was only a couple of them, but the 2 weeks that he did get playing time, he caught touchdowns, which I liked.
Yeah, definitely.
That's fair.
Angel, how you feeling about him?
I like him. I don't like him quite as much as Alex does, but I do think but I don't think most people do. But I do agree with the statement that he is a very complete wide receiver. He looked really good in the limited amount of time that he did have to play. And I love it when receivers come up big in the clutch, the Big Johnson coming up big in the clutch. I think about that Packers game. I think about that. Luke just looks mortified.
No, I think it's hilarious. I'm just trying not to laugh. Keep going.
Laughter is good for the soul. So is Big Johnson.
If you're in the middle of your take, I just don't want you to keep saying Johnson. And I'm just like, hee hee.
Nice.
No, with your take, Angel.
I love it. I love it when receivers come up clutch. And Tyler Johnson came up clutch in the biggest game of his career on 4th down, catching a pass from Tom Brady. There's no statistics around that. There's nothing to suggest that'll become a pattern. But I feel like receivers that do that have it. They have that clutch factor, that alpha wide receivers need in order to succeed. So I am pretty high on Johnson. I gave him a B- for the year, but he can do so much more. He can do so much more next season. Alex is
bad grade.
Upset with me.
Bad grade.
Bad
Wrong.
grade. I'm a tough teacher, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Angel. I'm not as high as I'm on him as you are, Alex, but I do like him quite a bit. I think he's a great stash right now. I'd be looking to trade around the 212 or the 301 for him in Dynasty Leagues, because I feel like it's a pretty fair price. I mean, I don't really expect great production for him next year, because I think Chris Godwin's a pretty good franchise tag candidate. So I think at a bare minimum, he'll be wide receiver 3, like a maximum, I should say. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I feel like in the coming years, I feel like he could be a great dynasty stash. I think his time to shine is 2 years away, but I think he definitely has potential. Overall, I think he had a pretty solid season, but I wasn't thoroughly impressed. I'd give him a solid B for his expectations.
All right, that's better than Angel's grade. But I have one question. Before we move on to our final guy.
What's your question?
Or not? It's not even a question. It's actually not a question at all. It's just an observation. There's no question to it. I feel like, honestly, I'm a big Chris Godwin guy. I like Chris Godwin as much as anybody. Angel knows this. Luke, you might know this. I love Chris Godwin. But I really do think that the Buccaneers could afford to let him go, and they could elevate Tyler Johnson into his role, and they would be fine. I think he's capable of taking it on.
No, I disagree. I think they need to tag Godwin and try to reload for another run, because Brady has 1 year left. So I think you're gonna need to keep the elitist weapons you possibly can. I wouldn't want to bank on Johnson.
Well, yeah, in theory, it makes sense, but with Tom Brady, Tom Brady's not going to let that fly. But I really do. I think they'd be
but I'm just
fine.
saying.
Yeah, but financially speaking, they might be in a better spot if they don't spend money to keep Godwin and they let Johnson take on that role. Because I really like Tyler Johnson, and I was telling Angel earlier in the day, I feel like they could let go of Godwin and Antonio Brown and be fine with Miller and Johnson with Evans. Like, I think they'd be a fine team.
I disagree with that. I mean, they'd be a fine team, but I don't think they would win the Super Bowl with that receiving core. I mean, it's possible, but Johnson would really need to step up, like big time.
He could do it.
I mean, possibly, but I think if you're the Super Bowl champions looking to go back to back, you're gonna do everything you can to keep the squad together. So I think Godwin is a pretty solid franchise tag candidate, personally.
He might get some shine in year 3 when Brady, at the age of 45, wins another Super Bowl and decides to
Well,
run
there's
it
only
back
1
for
year left on
46.
his contract is the thing. So like he'll have to re-sign if he wants to stay.
The Buccaneers have already started talking to him apparently, which is wild. I mean,
Interesting.
but we don't have to get into the Brady talk right now. I'm sure we'll do plenty of that in the offseason.
I'm sure we will.
Tom, I love you. All right, isn't there someone else we're talking about?
What are you doing?
Let's
What was that? You got so close to the microphone and were staring at the camera.
We're gonna move on
Because I
from
love
that
him.
one. Oh, come on.
All right, I'm gonna do my Angel Tom Brady impression and transition to our next guy. Quintus Cephus.
Ooh. Who?
Alex, take it away. Quintus Cephus. Talk to me.
Quintus Cephus. There's a lot of guys who really like Quintus Cephus on fantasy football Twitter. Like there's just
I do like him quite a bit. I feel like there'll be some opportunity for him next year.
You're one of the guys, I see. Okay.
Not really,
Fair enough.
but I do like him.
I liked the idea of him coming into the year because I watched him at Wisconsin. I was like, wow, this guy's pretty physical. He can block. He's way better than most Wisconsin receivers I've seen because most of those guys can't do jack. You're gonna have to censor that one, Angel. I couldn't say it without saying it. I'm sorry.
What?
But I didn't like that he had an opportunity to emerge because Kenny Golladay was out for like the whole season. Like that guy was just not around. And yet Marvin Jones and Danny Amendola were outperforming Quintus Cephus, which was like, come on, these guys are like 40. What are you doing? And yeah, I would say that this year he has a chance to take over Marvin Jones's role and like really prove himself. But, you know, there's a reason that his name is Quintus Cephus and not Quintus Beefus or Quintus Aphis. I gave him a C+ for a grade.
Oh, Lord.
Oh no.
You like that? You like that?
Okay, that was actually really good. I like that. Well, Angel's stud, and I'll take over with my take on Quintus Cephus. I didn't think he was that great this year, but I honestly think that he will get more opportunity than Tyler Johnson next year, which is why I like him. Just because, I mean, Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones are unrestricted free agents, and I think the Lions could tag Kenny Golladay, but I don't really think it makes sense for their organization to tag Kenny Golladay. I think they're likely to let him and Jones walk and draft a guy. With that leaves Cephus as their likely wide receiver 2 or 1 in my opinion. Probably 2 because they'll probably bring in somebody. I think they would need to. I think they would see it. Their receiving core really needs some work. So based on opportunity alone, I think Quintus Cephus will have a pretty solid season next year. But with Alex, I think I'll give him a C+. Because I didn't think he did that well, but he did fine. He didn't really like let me down or anything. Angel, what do you think?
Well, I'll make sure that the average grade is a C because I'm giving him a C-.
Nice.
Nice.
Excellent. Angel loves it. Not Angel. Alex loves it. Sorry. Okay, you guys were.
I do think he has big play potential. He averaged 17.4 yards per reception and 10 yards per target. His yards per reception ranked 5th in the league, and his yards per target ranked 13th in the league. So he has the potential to take over that Marvin Jones-like role. I just need to see more from him. So because he didn't do that much in his rookie season, and I don't know what the future holds for him next season, I'll give him a C- for now. Like I said, I do think he's a good big play threat, but nothing special in terms of fantasy football production. I'm sure as a normal wide receiver, as an NFL wide receiver, he has the potential to be a very good weapon.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know what I was thinking? What we were talking about all those guys?
What were you thinking, Angel?
I was just, oh gosh, I was hoping for like a website or an app, and maybe we could get on this. Maybe we could like make this happen.
Angel, stop right there. Let me
That-
read your mind. There's an app or a website where you can invest in players that you're in on.
Wait,
Whoa,
I know
how do
this
you
one.
know? Wait,
I know
how
the
do you
name of
know?
this one.
Wait, there's
Alex,
one
what's the
called?
name?
It's a monkey knife fight, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
Alex. Not
Oh.
Monkey Knife Fight.
Oh,
Not monkey knife fight.
wait,
It's the other one.
there's another one.
Yeah, Prediction Strike.
Whoa.
Come on, guys.
Whoa, tell me more.
PredictionStrike.com is like a mix of DFS, like Monkey Knife Fight or FanDuel or any other DFS game you guys play, and mix it with the stock market. You can go online and you can invest in your favorite athletes, and their performance goes up or down based on the amount of fantasy points they get per game. So if you know a lot about fantasy football and know a little bit about the stock market or DFS target plays, Prediction Strike is for you. You can go on and really load up on a player you think is going to have a great week, and you can make a lot of money. Seriously, Prediction Strike is an awesome website, and the developers are even better. There's a new updates rolling out all the time for the website. There was just another really great one this past week with another amazing feature, such as the new filters in the marketplace. You can go in and filter the newest high risers and the people who are falling and off sport and all that. So definitely go check out PredictionStrike.com. Use promo code 3CO. You'll get 50% of your deposit back up to $50. It's an awesome website, and you will support a great developing group. So make sure to head over to PredictionStrike.com and use code 3CO, 3CO, for 50% of your deposit back.
Shoot,
Do they got
maybe
NASCAR
it's
there? They got NASCAR.
They do not have NASCAR yet. No NASCAR.
No NASCAR.
But soon,
Ooh.
I think. Maybe not NASCAR, but I think they're doing MLB, esports, soccer, maybe NASCAR. Let me look on their website real quick. Angel, transition to our next segment while I'm looking up that.
Nah, I want to talk. We gotta. If they don't have NASCAR yet, we gotta get a meeting with them and talk to them about the expanded market.
As soon
of
as
NASCAR.
this episode's over, I'll call Devin and be like, "Dude, where is NASCAR? Where is
that would be a great story for our listeners.
coming soon? MLB, NHL, soccer, golf, esports. No NASCAR,
Damn.
but they have
Ooh.
golf.
They do have golf. That is big time. That is big
No
time.
There
NASCAR
we go.
really. That's gonna kill our demographic in the South if we don't have NASCAR.
Our demographic in the South. That's hilarious.
That's awesome. I just love everything about that. But yeah, Prediction Strike. I'm gonna really try and invest in Tyler Johnson personally.
Me too.
I'm actually I'm like live on the show about to invest in Tyrese Halliburton
Ooh,
for
that's a
the
good
Sacramento Kings. He is so slept on in the NFL right now. And sorry,
yeah.
not NFL, NBA, wrong sport. Sorry, but yeah, Halliburton's a monster. But like, there's seriously so much money you can make, especially in the NBA. Like LaMelo's up like 340% this season. So I'm trying to hop on the train before it takes off to the moon.
Nice.
Talking to the no, I can't do it. I can't do Bruno Mars
Talking
justice.
to the moon.
Wow, we
That's
nailed
enough. No more.
that. Wow, I'm so sorry to anyone that just heard that. Luke, tell us a little bit about Top Shot. Let's forget.
Yeah, so we're going on to story time now, and this is not a plug for Top Shot at all. This is not an ad, but I do really like NBA Top Shot, the website, and NBA Top Shot it's actually really cool. So basically, it's kind of like opening packs for like sports card collecting, but it's all digital. I don't really understand why people are so heavily invested in it to like collect. But if you're looking to make a quick buck, NBA Top Shot is seriously like the place to go right now. Like there's like $9 packs and you can flip it on eBay for like $1,000. It's insane. Like I got one and I opened this stuff and I sold it on eBay for like $200. Like it's seriously it's kind of nuts right now. So definitely go check out Top Shot if you guys are bored or like looking for something to do, because it's a great hobby to get into right now until the market crashes. But whenever it does, maybe not be as good. But right now, for the next couple weeks at least, it's definitely a great way to make some money. And if you're an NBA fan, invest and collect in the sport. It's pretty sick. Go check it out, NBATopShot.com. Gift me a moment if you want.
What
No,
a
you
great
probably
ad
won't.
read.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was not an ad read at all, but I do like their website. So
I would be amiss if I didn't apologize to Alex again for our singing that caused him to snuggle up with Walter. In
Yeah, that was
fear.
you liked it.
That hurt my life, honestly. Like,
Dude, don't act like you didn't like that, Alex.
I didn't like that. I can't lie.
You did.
I did not like that. I didn't like that.
Okay.
The Ravens fans didn't either.
Oh yeah, that's Thanks for the segue to my story. I appreciate the assist.
Dude, you're just a segue. You're a segue machine, Angel.
He can't stop.
He just is like. He'll just jump in on any conversation possible and just transition it. Like some people would he's like waiting in line at like a restaurant and he hears two people's conversations and they're like looking at the menu and they're like don't know what to order and they're like how much is that? And you're like speaking of how much that is, have you guys heard of Monkey Knife Fight? Like he'll always just like jump in. He'll just take it.
No, I'd go up to a married couple that's arguing and fighting. I'd be like, "Are you guys fighting?" Well, you know who's always fighting? Monkey Knife Fight.
Oh,
you. Pages, though.
I'm exhausted.
Anyway, what's the next story time?
So yeah,
What's happening?
I'm gonna tell a throwback story about the early days of 3CoSports. Our
Excellent.
origins as a.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, what? Okay.
I'm adding a transition right now.
Okay.
Magical. Okay. Do your thing.
Okay. I'm good to talk.
You're good. You're good to talk.
You sure?
Yeah. Positive.
You don't have anything else to transition?
What's happening?
Okay, there we go. Now I did it. Perfect.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this is a throwback story about the early days of 3CoSports. This is when we were still busy on Instagram, trying to create hype for our content. And as part of this, we started doing these posts for the off season in 2019, where it was like, oh, let's talk about these teams. And so one of them I was talking about the Ravens, and the Ravens at this point had just cut Michael Crabtree and let John Brown go, and they hadn't signed any receivers. They were coming off of a loss to the Chargers in the playoffs in a game where Lamar Jackson looked horrible. He looked so bad. So I titled this post, "What the hell are the Ravens doing?" Because their number one receiver at this point was Chris Moore. And I was like, what the hell are the Ravens doing? They're not getting any receivers. The draft has already passed. Like, what the hell are they doing? And and the post was not too scathing either. I was just like, what are these guys doing? Like, what's the plan? Let's talk about this. But a bunch of Ravens fan pages took offense to the fact that I was questioning what the hell they were doing. So we got attacked for like a few days by Ravens fan pages on this post, and they just kept coming in. They were like, "You're so stupid. You're so stupid. Like, what are you talking about? We've won a Super Bowl." Like these angry
Dude,
like Maryland people just coming in.
that's spot on. That's exactly what they were saying.
Angry Maryland people.
And then there was a few of them who were like, "Oh, you're stupid, but follow for follow though, like like for like." And I'm like, and me and Angel are just watching this like, these guys are crazy. Like, these Ravens fans are serious. We were just trying to like create conversation. These guys are angry. And as we were getting bullied by these Ravens, we actually had one Ravens fan page who was our friend who was like, no, they're right actually, because like what are they doing? Like they don't have any receivers. Like this is weird. Like,
guy.
I was glad to have that guy in our corner, and he still is on Instagram sometimes being like, when are you guys coming back? When are you guys coming back? I'm like, never. The Ravens scared us away.
Just tell him to follow our Twitter.
I don't know if he's on Twitter. He's probably like 15 years old, honestly. Like most of the kids who run those pages are children. We actually bought our 3CoSports NBA page from a kid who was running a Kemba Walker fan page for $1. He was like 12.
For $1?
Yeah, I bought it for $1. It was a good purchase, honestly.
Wait, how many followers did it have?
It had like 600. I was like, that's a good start for an NBA page. So yeah, I bought that. But that's not part of the story. We're not going to talk about it.
Wait, hold on, 1 second. Why did he sell it for $1? That's literally worth nothing.
Because he's 12, and $1 is a lot for a 12-year-old.
No, it's not.
Well, I don't know. Maybe this guy was down bad. I don't know.
Down horrendous.
Supply.
But yeah,
and
back to the Ravens. Let me wrap this Ravens story up, Angel. Come on. Everybody's an economist today with the supply and demand in the stocks. Jesus Christ. So yeah, the Ravens were bullying us, and we had one Raven depending. defending us. And this guy, he was making a brave stand, and all of a sudden, in the distance, we heard a cry. It was the Giants fan pages. Several Giants fan pages coming in to avenge their Super Bowl loss from 19 years earlier, maybe, came in to defend us from these evil, brutish Ravens fan pages. And suddenly there was a war between Giants fan pages and Ravens fan pages. And after that, we got the hell off of Instagram, but it was really fun at the time. It was scary too. It was intense. But yeah, that's the end of my story. And speaking of Ravens, Angel.
Yeah,
I hear
wow.
you want to talk about a Raven.
Ooh, okay, Alex, I see you. Yeah, so I'm really glad the Ravens fan pages weren't around for my decision in late 2020. You see, this story starts as most stories do, on Sleeper. I was in the playoffs with a dominant team. A team led by Tom Brady, Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, Mark Andrews, Deontay Johnson. Who am I forgetting? This team was stacked. Like
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb. At that point, he was kind of irrelevant, though.
Whoa.
Hunter Henry, of course, and David Johnson. This team was absolutely stacked. And I was up facing Alex in the first round of the playoffs in an absolute garbage matchup because, like, we were arguably two of the best teams in the league, and we were facing each other in the first round, but I digress. This was a battle for 3CoSports supremacy. This was a battle for bragging rights. And in this battle, in this all-important battle, my dumbass decided to bench Justin Tucker for whoever the hell was kicking for the Giants back then. I don't even know who they are.
Why would you ever bench Justin Tucker? He's like the greatest kicker of all time.
Well, my logic was that the team the Ravens were facing weren't giving up that many points. I literally looked at kicker matchups, okay? I was overthinking it. Alex's supremacy got me to overthink my roster. And not only did I do that, but I ended up losing that week. Tragically enough, I know you're all rooting for me, but I'm sorry I let you down. I lost by one more point than the difference between Justin Tucker and the kicker I chose, who I don't even remember, which is even more annoying.
I think it was Graham Gano.
Was it Graham Gano?
Or somebody, it was like one of those.
I think you're right. I think it was Gano.
Yeah.
But basically, if I had started, and I don't know if I worded this correctly, but if I had started Justin Tucker over Graham Gano, I would have won that game. Not only would I have won that game, I would have then proceeded, based on math, to win the league. So benching Justin Tucker for Graham Gano cost me $420.
Damn.
Nice.
Right? No, not nice. Fuck both of you. Oh, crap. 112. Okay.
Hey. Beep. So, wait, Angel, the moral of the story is that all I eat is dubs.
I hate you.
You like that?
Angel, I need to clip that whenever the YouTube video comes out. That was hilarious.
You like that?
I hate you.
I'm turning that into a gif of Alex eating a W. I'll watch it on YouTube for anyone listening still. Go to YouTube, look at 112, look at Alex eat a W on cam. It's pretty hilarious. All right, guys, we've gone like way too long today.
We apologize.
It's an hour and 13 still. Well, thank you for listening. Angel, I'm taking the outro today. Screw you.
Do it. You've taken all my other transitions today. You may as well take my outro as well.
Oh, come on. You're the transition king. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. It was a long one, but we'll see you on Thursday for the 2020 AFC wide receivers. It's going to be another great episode. If you would like to subscribe and drop a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening, that would really appreciate that, especially a written review on Apple Podcasts. Tell us how handsome we are. Leave us a 5-star review. Make sure you listen every week and turn on those notifications so you get every episode when it comes out live. And we will see you all next time.
Yes. And make sure to thank us for going non-explicit.
Please do.
Thanks.